In a valley the world had forgotten, beneath a ceiling of unbroken granite stone, a boy named Kofi was born. The roof above was no metaphor, it was a vast slab of stone, wider than a football field that capped the sky itself. It filtered sunlight into a golden hush, casting a quiet glow on the terraces, gardens, and clay homes of the hidden village. Time in this place did not flow by calendars, but by harvests and moonlit dances. Generations ago, when coastal kingdoms burned with war and gunfire, Kofi's ancestors fled into the mountains. They found this hidden valley and sealed themselves inside. Boulders, hedges, iron gates, they closed off the world and made a vow. They would not return to the surface until peace outlived memory. The vow endured for over a century. Here, life moved with rhythm. Each morning, golden shafts of filtered light stirred the roosters. Women pounded fufu and spun thread. Children played with carved toys beneath acacia trees. Kofi, lean, dark-skinned and striking in his youth, trained with a spear. His father, a respected hunter, taught him the way of strength. His mother, a drummer, taught him the power of rhythm. And then the cough came. It started with the chief elder, one sharp sound that broke the square's harmony. Then another elder, then three. By week's end, even the children were coughing. Kofi's younger sister, Efua, once the fastest girl in the village, could barely stand. Her breath came shallow, her hands trembling as she clutched her ribs. The healer, desperate, mixed barks and burned roots, but nothing worked. Singing stopped, drums fell silent. One night, he pulled Kofi aside and said, "This is not a sickness we know. If a cure exists, it lies beyond the rock." Leaving was forbidden, but Kofi couldn't watch his sister die. He said,
"Show me the way."
At dawn, Kofi slipped into an old herder's tunnel, narrow, damp, and clawing at his skin. He wore only a wrap of dyed animal skin around his waist. Across his bare chest, he slung a goatskin pouch filled with cloth samples, dried mucus, and crushed herbs. A hand-forged spear remained at his side. Hours later, the tunnel gave way to blinding sunlight and thick forest. The world outside was loud, wild, and alive in ways he had never imagined. Trees towered over him. Vines clung to his legs. He walked for days, sleeping in trees, drinking from streams, avoiding animals he couldn't name. When he reached villages, the people screamed and scattered. His look, a bare chest, a leather wrap, a carved spear, terrified them. One woman even sprinkled white powder at his feet. He tried to mime his message, pointing to his chest, offering the pouch, but no one understood. Eventually, he reached a black stone road. Cars screamed by. Kofi froze. He had never seen metal move without beasts. Towering buildings rose like cliffs, glass, screens, strange lights. None of it made sense. And then, in the heart of a night market glowing with lanterns, he met her, Amma. She was not a vendor, a university student with quiet eyes and a canvas bag slung over her shoulder. She saw Kofi trying to trade a bracelet for food. The vendor shook his head. Kofi looked lost. Amma stepped forward, paid for the food, and handed it to him. She didn't hide her unease. Her eyes flicked from his pouch to his spear. But something kept her there. When Kofi mimed a cough and pointed to the cloth in the pouch, she paused. Something clicked.
"Come,"
she said gently. She led him through the market and into the city's quieter edges. He followed. Amma took Kofi to her uncle's house near the university. The courtyard was packed with books, tools, and solar lamps. Her uncle, Professor Owusu, listened to her explanation, what little she had grasped from Kofi's gestures, and examined the cloth. "Where is he from?" he asked.
"Somewhere cut off. He doesn't even know what COVID is. Could it be COVID he is describing?"
That question changed everything. Owusu tested the sample. When he returned, he was grave. This is no flu. The viral load is high. It's COVID, likely spreading unchecked. Kofi didn't understand the words, but he understood the urgency. He stayed in the courtyard, exchanging labor for shelter. Amma taught him language using gestures, pictures, and repetition. She pointed to masks and said virus. She wrote down hospital. He, in turn, taught her how to read the beat of drums, how rhythm could carry messages. When he could say just enough, Amma filmed him, standing under a jacaranda tree. The goatskin pouch still hung from his chest. His voice trembled, but held.
My village is sick. No help. We need medicine.
Amma added subtitles and posted the video. The internet took over. Journalists called. NGOs pledged small funds. A biotech firm offered access to experimental antivirals. But customs stalled the shipments. Cold chain systems failed. Permits were denied. Amma worked around them. She called engineering students. Together, they built solar-powered refrigeration units using old fans and recycled parts. She filed new paperwork, printed the right codes, and got the shipment cleared. At last, it was time to return. A van was donated. In it were 2 volunteer doctors, a nurse, and boxes of medicine. Amma rode up front, calling out directions. Kofi sat behind her, transformed, clean-shaven, dressed in a simple button-down shirt and trousers she had helped him choose. When they reached the edge of the rock, the van could go no further. Kofi crawled through the tunnel, emerging into the dim warmth of the cavern. He walked straight to the elders and knelt. "I have returned," he said calmly. "The medicine is here. A van waits outside the rock." The elders stared at him, at his polished clothes, his poised speech, the dignified young woman beside him. "He looks so different," one whispered. "He's grown into another kind of warrior." They gathered men with picks and levers and tore down a section of the rock wall. It took hours, but stone by stone, they made space. Then they called for the van. The engine's growl echoed into the cavern like thunder. When headlights pierced the dark, villagers screamed, "A beast of metal! We are cursed!" They ran. Some dropped to their knees. Others dragged their children behind granaries and fire pits. When the van stopped and the doors opened, the doctors stepped out, dressed in white suits, face shields and gloves. Even more panic followed, but the healer held his ground, and Amma stepped forward. She moved between the villagers with calm hands. She placed a mask gently on a child's face. She mimed how to breathe. She handed supplies to the healer, called names, showed them how not to be afraid. They set up a makeshift clinic inside the elder hall. Villagers were given masks. Sick ones were separated. Kofi sat beside his younger sister, Efua, as the nurse crushed the first tablet and stirred it into water. Efua swallowed it slowly, and then they waited. The night stretched long and heavy, but by dawn, Efua's breathing eased. Her chest no longer rattled, her eyes opened. Outside, the coffin softened across the village. Children began to stir, an old woman laughed, and though the drums did not play, people began to hum. The elders met again, not to close a door, but to open one. They voted to end the isolation, to listen, learn, and step into the world once more. 2 weeks later, Amma returned. This time with books, solar lanterns, and worn sandals. Children ran to her. Kofi's mother showed her how to beat the drum. His father offered her a bench beside the fire. And when Kofi entered the square, villagers smiled at his modern clothes, his upright stance, the calm in his eyes. "Kofi," someone said, "you look different. You look good." No one needed to ask who Amma was. They could see it. Once, Kofi had only known how to throw a spear. Now he knew how to speak another language. Once, he believed the world ended at the rock wall. Now he knew even the hardest stone can let light through if you know where to look. And sometimes, the person who helps you find it doesn't say much at all. They just walk beside you, step by step, until home no longer feels like a place hidden from the world, but part of it. Moral of the story: you can achieve anything you put your mind to. He left with no map, no language, no promise of return, but he came back with medicine, with help, with hope. The end.